Hello. This month we're going to take a look at another one of those ISTE standards and how it can apply to the content area of science. And this month we're looking at Global Collaborator. Just as a reminder, if you go to iste.org/standards, you can take a look at the different um, performance indicators that will help you to identify what it really means, in this case, for students to use digital tools to broaden their perspectives and enrich their learning by collaborating with others. And one thing I want you to notice is that it says in teams locally and globally. So if we start out thinking about how we might work with folks that are local, we've done this type of um, example before where you might do some type of shared data where you could have a Google form that would allow students to put in this case, we were doing baking soda and vinegar, so they can measure their vinegar, their baking soda, the change in temperature, observations, and then they could submit that. And then what you can wind up with is um, a, a repository of where the data will be that others can look at, and then you can move to a model where students could take a look at different parts of completing a Google Slides presentation. And so when we jump back over and we think about, okay, so how do they work together? This would be students using collaborative technologies to work with others. And by starting locally, you might be able to have some more success that will enable you to start connecting with classrooms that are in a more global environment. Now, when you're ready to start talking to schools in a global way, a mystery Skype is a great way to start. So it's a game where students will learn about different people by asking 20 questions. And so when they get to the end of the 20 questions, they have to guess where that classroom is located. And you can see sort of in the picture here, you have one group that is up on the video monitor, another group that is local, and you can opt in and join um, by Googling Mystery Skype. And of course, Skype is the technology, but there are all kinds of technologies that'll work like this, including Google Hangouts and Zoom and things like that. Now, when you want to go start investigating um, information, thinking about like what might it look like for someone in a different country, um, what you can do is like if I do a search on earthquakes, this is the information that I get. So you can see there was a recent earthquake and the information that comes about here. And most of what we're getting is usgs.gov as our top sites. Okay. Well, what if I wanted to do a site search? And we've talked about that in the past, but now I put in the country code for, say, Japan. What's going to happen is the results that I get are all going to be from Japanese sources. And so I can start to learn what they may look like. And these sites will be translated into English for you. You're wondering, well, where do I get those country codes? You can take a look and just Google country codes on the internet. And here's a whole list of them so that you can see what each one is. So .ca for Canada might give you different results. And then finally, as you're starting to think about, well, I'm ready to start working on a global level, there are science projects that will link students across the country, across the world. And so one place to look for is the Center for Global Education. And then another thing that you would want to Google are citizen science projects. So there are a lot of projects that monitor both animals and water as different ways to sort of share in data taking. And we reference this in our article about SciStarter, which is another way that you can join in on projects. So what you want to be looking for are citizen science type projects. And then finally, when we think about how are we going to work together, there are all kinds of tools out there that would allow us to do team type work. So this is a tool called Trello, which allows me to track all of my information on cards, but I can share that information by hitting the plus sign and then starting to share out with others the information that I have on my cards with others. And it really enables that teamwork. And when we think about, as we go back and we take one last look, making sure that everybody has a varied role, um, A tool like Trello can help to support that by having students keep track of their own work on their own board and card. Join us next month when we'll wrap up the ISTE standards when we go back and take a look at Creative Communicator.